Okay, I know I said I was going to be aiming for something bi-monthly this year with the upload schedule, and we're in the middle of March right now, but you gotta believe me, I was spending those months doing important channel stuff. I was. Like, you see all this behind me? Yeah, well, that's gone. That's lost media. Now we're living in the future, baby! Taking PNGs and putting them on a basic backdrop is a thing of the past. Hand drawing is the future. Look at this. Take this all in. Isn't this awesome? I hope you guys are appreciating just how cool the new Pekachow base of operations is, because this took me a painstaking 2 months. Dude, I still can't get over how awesome this new room is. This is like the best change I've ever made to this entire YouTube shit. Oh my god, who is that guy? I take it back, second best. Wow, the basic presentation of the channel has changed a lot, huh? Well, you want to know one thing that hasn't changed? I want to review a Kirby game. But this time, I don't know which one to review because everyone's talked about all the Kirby games. You know, I just don't feel like talking about a game that's already been talked about to death, which is basically every single Kirby game. So, I don't know, time to consult the old computer for some ideas. But before I hop on my computer, I want you to repeat after me. I understand Pekachow's financial situation. I understand not everyone can buy a $1,000 gaming PC with 8 GB of RAM and a processor that runs at something with the specs. Look, I don't understand this computer stuff, okay? Just promise not to laugh.
This Chromebook is so bad it can't even play Flash games properly. Flash games. That's it!
Kirby Flash games! Not sure how many of you watching are super in the loop with Kirby Flash games and all that, but the Kirby series has over 20 years of history with online games, Flash games, online thingamajigs, and I wouldn't be surprised if most of you didn't know that the Kirby Flash game rabbit hole went that deep, because this is such an overlooked side of the series. For good reason. I consider myself fairly well versed in the world of Kirby Flash games, because, you know, I am the Kirby Iceberg guy. I made and covered that one iceberg with almost every single official Kirby Flash game as an entry on it somewhere. But truth be told, I haven't actually played most of these games, and if there's one thing you should never do, is judge a book by its cover. Just because this game looks bad, okay, this is an exception. But seriously though, the world of Kirby Flash games is something that's so interesting because there's all sorts of little oddities and stuff on this side of the franchise that no one ever brings up just because they're obscure little Flash games that they probably don't know about. So join me as I plunge back into the world of Kirby Flash games to cover every single officially released Kirby Flash game or whatever, shine some light on all these little oddities, and maybe, just maybe, we'll find a diamond in the rough in the form of a half-decent Flash game along the way. We're about to start our journey with the first Kirby Flash game ever released, Kirby 64 Crystal Capture, and I'm sure that's a familiar name to all you real Pekachow fans watching in the audience. Back in the original Iceberg video, this is the very last thing I talked about because I thought it was like the most obscure piece of Kirby knowledge I knew. It is no longer the most obscure Kirby thing I know. But let me tell you, one of the reasons why oh my god, that's a cramp in my foot. Well, let me tell you, it simply just cannot be the most obscure piece of Kirby knowledge out there now that it has a Kirby wiki page. By the way, it didn't have a Kirby wiki page back when I was researching it, so, did I do that? Anyways, Crystal Capture was actually made by Cartoon Network and hosted on the Toonami website, interestingly enough, so it's kind of like a little crossover there. And what this game is it's like a matching game where you just match pictures of characters and you get wallpaper if you finish the game. Look, it's nothing complex, but it certainly was fascinating at the time because not only was it an obscure piece of Kirby 64 knowledge, but it was also lost media? But you did hear me correctly though, I did say it was lost media because now we actually have video footage of the game, and I think it's also playable too, but it doesn't work for me, so I don't know if it's like a website problem or a my garbage Chromebook not loading problem. I don't know how old this footage is, but I first caught wind of it around like November 2022, which just so happens to be over a year after the Iceberg dropped. Ooh, you think that means something? The game really is exactly what I was expecting. It's just a little Kirby 64 matching game, but it does have heaps of Kirby 64 charm that just makes it a super appealing game. Man, it sure would suck if future matching games just become churned out corporate soulless slop. Foreshadowing is a literary device in which you write. So yeah, that's Crystal Capture. I wasn't able to play this one, but it does seem like a pretty decent little matching game. Plus, this game has that factor of it kind of being like a grail for me because I always really wanted to see it pop up since I found out about it, so actually seeing that happen is super cool. And I love the Kirby 64 charm that's just so apparent in this game. It's so good. Overall, this seems like a pretty decent game. Just a basic matching game, but it's got that Kirby 64 stuff all over it, so bonus points for me. Skipping ahead 2 years or so to 2002, we arrive at our next game, the Kirby Nightmare in Dreamland minigame. Or as it's actually known, Kirby Mini-Spiel, because it's German. That's not the only thing that makes this game so unique though, because this game was anything but your usual Flash game. Because this game was actually a downloadable reward for the Nintendo VIP 24/7 loyalty program, which was a European exclusive thing that would later go on to become Club Nintendo. So obviously the game's gotta be pretty good. Well, you'd use the arrow keys to move, and you dodge the falling PNGs of enemies, and you collect the Maxim tomatoes. And there's also some pet brew if you get hit by any of the following PNGs. For this fucking parasol hat that protects you. What the hell? Okay, I can't be silent about this anymore. This game looks amateur as hell. Like, obviously, I know this is just a little reward game made in 2002, and I mean, no disrespect to any of the poor interns who had to cobble this thing together in 5 minutes, but wow, this looks bad. Like, obviously, I mentioned the falling PNGs before, but what about the walking animation Kirby's got, where they take the feet on this artwork and just flip them around to make it look like he's actually moving? Or the parasol hat. Like, just the parasol hat. I don't even need to say anything, just look at it. Do you think one day the parasol hat will be able to make its grand return in a future Kirby game? I think that would be pretty cool, but HAL barely acknowledges the actual spin-off games enough as is, so what are the odds? And the game's sound design is, like, non-existent pretty much. There's no music and, like, a single sound effect on the title screen. Oh yeah, we're so back. But back to the game itself, you gotta play through 3 levels of the same basic gameplay of just collecting 10 maximum tomatoes in order to move on to the next one, and you get this little reward thing when you complete the game. The gameplay is kind of fun, but sometimes it can really, like, drag on because it's completely RNG dependent, and you could go a long time without seeing a single maximum tomato fall. But, you know, I suppose it's decent for what it is, and the really shoddy presentation is just super charming if I'm being completely honest. It looks terrible, but it's kinda awesome. So overall, it's an interesting history piece, but just not a very fun game. And also, I'm never forgiving this stupid game for being the reason I only have one of these Armaldos instead of 2 of them, because someone decided to challenge me to see who could beat the game faster. And let's just say RNG was not on my side that day, and so I had to give him up. Damn this stupid game! This brings us to our next game, which is the first Japanese game we're taking a look at, and it's the Kirby Air Ride Jigsaw Puzzle from 2003. This game showed up on the game's microsite, and it's just a 36-piece puzzle with the game's Japanese box art, so yeah, pretty interesting game. Well, I guess that's a little disingenuous. The game does have this mechanic where you can press the Alt key while holding a piece in order to turn it and make it fit in a certain spot, which is kind of cool and makes it a little more interesting than most other puzzle flash games, but still, there's really not much to say here. It's an okay little game. It would have been better if maybe they got some awesome Kirby Air Ride music blaring in the background, but no, I guess that's just too hard. Those were all the miscellaneous Flash games from the 2000s I could just kind of lump together there, but as for the rest of the 2000s Flash games, they can either be lumped into one of 2 categories, the 4Kids games or the sub-game ports, and I figured let's take a look at those sub-game ports first because the 4Kids games are something else. The first sub-game port is of Quick Draw from Kirby Nightmare in Dreamland, and it was made in anticipation for that game and hosted on the website, and there really isn't much to it besides you can play Quick Draw on your computer now. It's a pretty accurate port, and I love how it's on this little GBA here. The GBA is kind of pointless though. I think you can press that A button in order to get stuff to happen too, instead of just like clicking the screen, but I don't know, it never worked for me. But, you know, super accurate port. There's very little lag, even on my laggy as hell Chromebook. And I think it's a pretty solid port of the game overall. Quick Draw is not the most interesting sub-game out there. I would have preferred, like, an Air Grind or Bomb Rally port, but hey, I can't really complain. This is pretty cool. Next up, we have Speed Eaters from Amazing Mirror. Once again, this was hosted on the game's Japanese website. You can also see the game being played in a console once again, although this time it's a GBA SP, which is a nice upgrade to the original Quick Draw port. And I can say with 100% certainty that the A button actually works this time, which is really cool. Too bad the rest of the game sucks though. Even taking my preference for Quick Draw over Speed Eaters out of account, this Speed Eaters port is just really, really bad because it's just so insanely laggy and my inputs just take forever to register, even when I'm just like clicking the screen. Every single time I think I hit it perfectly on point, it takes like a second to register, and in that second, everything on the plate is completely gobbled up. It feels like a miracle that I'm even able to inhale like anything. It feels special when I'm able to inhale one of those bombs. Like, hey, that shouldn't feel special. I should feel embarrassed. It's like the game expects you to have like foresight 1 second into the future. That's insane. Besides the A button actually working this time, the only nice thing I can say about this port is that it's based on an earlier build of Amazing Mirror. The changes may be pretty slight here, but being able to experience Amazing Mirror beta stuff like this is super cool. As a matter of fact, it's the only cool thing about this game, because this port is garbage. And this brings us to the third and final sub-game port, Speedy Tea Time from Squeak Squad. And if the port of Speed Eaters turned out as bad as it did, then obviously the port of the Squeak Squad version is gonna turn out even worse. The thing is though, I can't say for sure because this is the first game we're looking at that is 100% officially lost media. Yeah, there really isn't too much to say here. It's just an unplayable sub-game port. It was released on the US microsite, which I guess is a little different, but otherwise I can't really say too much. We can assume it was probably on a DS screen, just like the other ones. Maybe it used the mouse as like a replacement for the stylus. I don't know. I don't want to think about it. It probably would have turned out horrible because Speedy Tea Time sucks. Kind of sad it's lost media, but at the same time, My ass is saved. I did not want to play this. Well, those are the sub-game ports. They started off interesting, but they just gradually fell off, like so hard to the point one of them doesn't even exist anymore. But this brings us into the next era of Kirby Flash games, which is the 4Kids era, and this was by far the best one. We got some of the most interesting Flash games here, as well as the most unhinged Kirby Flash game ever, which we'll get to in just a moment. But first, feast your eyes on Kirby Canvas Craze, also known as Kirby Canvas Curse Painter, which was released in 2005, and actually has nothing to do with the actual Kirby Canvas Curse. It's a pretty basic art program, but it gives you all the stuff you need, like your brush, your eraser, your bucket, your little stamp that lets you stamp Kirbys and stuff all over the place. And the game gives you one objective: paint a Kirby masterpiece, and feast your eyes on mine. Doesn't this just make you want to subscribe? Not bad for an old 2005 4Kids Kirby art program, but I think you could probably find better than an old 4Kids 2005 Kirby art program. So how about that unhinged Kirby Flash game I was talking about earlier? Well, if there's one thing I want you to take away from this video, if you didn't already know this, just know there is an officially licensed Kirby Flash game solely dedicated to the slaughter of Waddle Dees. Yes, that's right, I'm talking about Waddle Doom! Just look at this, look at the logo, look at the blunt description, look at just all of this. This is insane. This is where the game's edginess peaks though, because the rest of the game is pretty tame. For better or worse, you just click Waddle Dees, they turn into stars, and that's it. There isn't even like a reticle or anything. They could have just said click the Waddle Dees on the title screen and literally nothing would have been lost. A game of Waddle Doom lasts for 1 minute, which is perfect because it allows for the background music, which is just an instrumental of the show's dubbed theme song, to play in its entirety, which is pretty cool. And all you really do is just click Waddle Dees. The orange ones are worth a single point, while the red ones are worth 5, so it sounds kind of messed up, but you know, that's just Waddle Doom for ya. One cool thing the game had going for it back when it was still available on the 4Kids website was it actually had a leaderboard you could submit your best scores to. And believe it or not, this actually led to a little bit of leaderboard drama between users Sam and Angel and -1. So Sam and Angel's high score was a 368, which was a 100% legit run. They had proof and everything. So then -1 comes along with a score of 425, which we can probably assume showed up on the leaderboard. But the thing is, they had no proof of this run. But it was on the leaderboard, so what's the problem? Well, the thing is, in Waddle Doom, there's a glitch where if you reload the game constantly, you can summon a horde of Waddle Dees, and you could just mow them down for easy points. So, -1 was being accused of using Waddle Doom glitch tech in order to get a high score. Yeah, this Waddle Doom shit gets serious. You gotta be ready to die behind it. Now, we don't have confirmed proof if -1's run was actually abusing this glitch, but between the almost 60-point difference and Sam and Angel, you know, having a recorded run, I do think Sam and Angel has the highest legit score here. But still, no matter who actually has the highest score, I still cannot believe there is leaderboard and score drama about an old Kirby Flash game where you shoot Waddle Dees. Waddle Doom is a highlight in the Kirby Flash game library and one of my favorite little Kirby obscurities ever because it's just so fascinating. The way it's just a game about shooting Waddle Dees, the drama, it's insane, and it's not a bad game either. It's kind of fun. This is genuinely like peak Kirby history, guys. We have to talk about Waddle Doom more. So now those were only 2 of the 5 different Kirby Flash games 4Kids was responsible for. So how about the other 3? Well, the other 3 are all lost media. Yeah, the thing with these games is that 4Kids only had the Kirby license from 2002 to 2009. So once 2009 hit and 4Kids decided not to renew the Kirby license, all the Kirby stuff on the website was purged and had to go, because otherwise 4Kids would be in hot water with copyright law. The first 2 Lost games are kind of one and the same, Kirby Shuffle Puzzle 1 and Kirby Shuffle Puzzle 2, and I don't know about you, but these kind of sound like they were both puzzle games if you ask me. The only things we know for sure about the Kirby Shuffle Puzzle series, though, are that the games were both available in 2008, because that's when this screenshot was taken, and as you can see in this screenshot, the thumbnail images for both games are displayed, so that might give us a little clue as to what the pictures on the titular shuffle puzzles were like. There were also some other 4Kids shuffle puzzle games, like one for Yu-Gi-Oh! And TMNT, but I could not find any information on either of these games besides them being name-dropped on this Kirby wiki page. So who knows, maybe there is some gameplay of a shuffle puzzle game out there somewhere, but at least with the Kirby shuffle puzzle games, we have a general idea of what these games were like. Kirby Star Ride, though, is a complete anomaly. There is no information known about this game besides the game's title and the fact it was available on the 4Kids website starting in December of 2008. This means it was up for less than a year before 4Kids lost the Kirby license and had to purge all the Kirby stuff. Kirby Star Ride is probably the most fascinating piece of Kirby Lost media in my opinion because it could be literally anything. We know like nothing about this game, and the title is vague enough that it just opens the door to all sorts of different possibilities. It could maybe be something that kind of ties into Kirby Air Ride. like 5 years after the game came out. Maybe it's just some sort of nondescript Kirby racing thing, or maybe it's some kind of Kirby endless runner thing where he flies on his warp star and you just try to get the highest score or something. Now I know most of these don't sound very exciting, but it's a Flash game. What do you expect? It's probably not going to be anything too groundbreaking, but still, that mystery makes Kirby Star Ride such an intriguing thing to me. Kirby Star Ride is something that has fascinated me since the original Iceberg video when I found out about it and did my best to research it, and I just need some old footage of this game to just resurface or something because I just have to see what it's about. Will I be disappointed? Maybe. Is it likely that any footage is going to resurface? Not with that window of availability, but still, don't lose hope. So I hope I managed to illustrate why I think the 4Kids era of Kirby Flash games was simply peak. We got so many fascinating games, so many interesting cases of lost media, and Waddle Doom. Unfortunately, though, from here it all comes tumbling down, tumbling down, tumbling down. But first, Kirby photo editors, anyone? Kirby and online photo editors. They sound completely unrelated, but believe it or not, there exist multiple Kirby online photo editors. Like if you had a nickel for every single Kirby online photo editor, you'd have $1.25, which isn't a lot, but really 5 times? The first Kirby photo editor was called Kirby's Epic Patchifier, and it was released on the Kirby's Epic Yard microsite in 2011. And basically all you really do is you just plop a photo in here and you can edit it a little bit, put a border around it, get some patches as they call them in here. They're just PNGs of characters. Unfortunately though, Patchifier was removed from the site in 2018, which technically makes it lost media. It may be unplayable now, but I swear on my life I played this back when I was like a kid and I had no idea what any of this was or what I was doing. I just saw Kirby on it, so I had to click. Up next is Kirby Smashifier, which just take everything I said about Epic Patchifier and replace every mention of Epic Yarn with Mass Attack, and there you go. That's the complete Kirby Smashifier story. I do have a little more to elaborate on this game personally, though. I also played this one when I was a kid because, you know, it had Kirby on it, and you know this enemy? I wouldn't be surprised if you didn't. His name is Moso Moso. He shows up in like 4 levels of the actual game, but like he was one of the stickers or whatever you could put on your pictures here, and for some reason my mind just internalized him as that hairy guy from the Kirby Mass Attack photo editor, so now he just lives in my brain rent-free. So thanks Kirby Smashifier for helping me remember that this creature exists. Love you, Moso Moso. Up next is Hypernova Yourself, which was released in 2014 on the Play Nintendo website, which is basically like a Nintendo website with a bunch of activities on it for children. It should be self-explanatory, but this was obviously made to promote Kirby Triple Deluxe. And the thing with this photo editor that sets it apart from the other ones we've looked at so far is you're not just putting stuff on your photos this time, you are completely ruining them. And let me tell you, this thing is glorious. Look at this masterpiece. So, do any of you remember that tweet I made on my Twitter account a while ago where I said I was asking for some photos for the sake of the next video? If you don't, maybe you weren't there. Maybe you should go on Twitter and follow me or something. I think that would be pretty cool. I'd really appreciate that. Well, this is exactly why I wanted them. I wanted to run them all through this Hypernova filter and completely destroy every single one of them. So, I hope you're ready. Let's log on and Hypernova Yourself has become lost media. This sucks. Like, it's literally about Hypernova. Of course it sucks. Just this news just makes me want to Robobot myself. Yeah! Robobot Yourself is like Hypernova Yourself if it was much, much lamer. But the thing is, it actually works. So, you know, hooray for proper preservation. All you really do here is just select a photo, choose one of the 4 different Robobot armor modes the game gives you. As you can see, the photo gets like a little warped and messed up when it's in the Robobot armor, but anyways, you could choose to save the photo as is, or you could spam these stickers all over the place and then save it. Okay, I know this is nowhere near as funny as the Hypernova one I was planning to run all those photos through, but obviously that one doesn't work anymore, so I did the next best thing, and you know, this one's moderately funny. So I've ran like 2/3 of your guys' submissions through this Robobot filter, and I put them all in this slideshow, so let's check it out. And that is all for my amazing Robobot slideshow. But if you didn't see your submission in there, don't worry, because I got one more photo editor I ran your photo through instead. Presenting Kirby of the Stars Photo Frame, a Japanese program that lets you put a Kirby border on a photo. And I know it doesn't sound like much, but trust me, some of these turned out amazing. This thing has been up on the Japanese Kirby Portal website since 2018, and even still keeps getting updates in the forms of new borders based on things like recent game releases or events. This application is genuinely really good if all you're looking to do on a photo is just put a Kirby border around it, and I think it's pretty cool for what it is. It's not much, but it's pretty nifty. And as this slideshow here is going to prove, sometimes all you need to make a picture 10 times funnier is a Kirby border. Roll slideshow. And that's all for the photo editors. I really don't have much to say because most of them I just straight up couldn't play, but the two that were available were pretty good for shits, giggles, and Kirby photo editing. But with the photo editors out of the way, obviously we can start taking a look at some real games now, right? Like, obviously we're not going to be taking a look at like corporate slop that's turned out on a game-by-game basis with no creativity or originality or soul or anything. Just a Kirby skin copied and pasted over the most basic versions of the most basic activities to ever exist, right? Right? That's preposterous. Well, foreshadowing is a literary device in which a writer... The Play Nintendo games. Let's waste no time and get right into this. Now, there are two main series all these Play Nintendo games fall into, but there are also two miscellaneous ones that don't fit in with either group, and I want to take a look at those ones first. So first up is the Choose Your Buddy quiz, and this is not a quiz at all. This is literally just a bracket with all the Star Allies helpers on it, and you pick one and they move on to the next round. I'm sure we all know how a bracket works, and ultimately, whoever wins is your best friend. As someone like myself with an unhealthy obsession with Kirby enemies, it was very difficult having to make some of these decisions, but ultimately I came out with Plug, the GOAT, my bestest friend in the whole world. Oh, and it also gives you a few who almost made the cut, which is nice because... oh, don't make me think about that. Oh, that choice was so painful. And as for the other miscellaneous game, we got a fun Kirby coloring activity called a Fun Kirby Coloring Activity. How did they come up with that one? There's two different ways you could play this fun Kirby coloring activity, either by using the baby color by number mode or the free draw mode, and obviously the free draw mode is where it's at because you can turn Kirby into whatever you want, even a fine art piece. Look at my masterpiece. This just says so much about modern society. And with those things out of the way, let's look at our first major series, which is the Memory Match series, and it started with this game right here. Kirby Triple Deluxe Matchup. I think this is actually a pretty decent little game. Like, obviously, the matching gameplay is, it's alright. It's nothing too special. But there is a score system that has a number that just slowly ticks down as you continue through the round, which encourages you to just get the most points as possible by finishing as fast as you can. Well, I mean, it's a matching game, so obviously it's all up to RNG if you can actually, beat your high scores, but hey, at least it's got that little bit of replayability built in there. The main thing I really like about Triple Deluxe Matchup, though, is the whole game just has a really nice Kirby charm to it. The game looks decent and it's got a nice Kirby Triple Deluxe theme that helps it stand out as a Kirby matching game. And there's also these little descriptions you can read about all the different cards you got in that round and when you're all finished. Usually these descriptions have some kind of stupid joke in them, but this is awesome. I live for stupid jokes like these, and this one goes unironically kind of hard too. Oh, I am cherishing this one while it lasts because we are never, ever, ever getting anything like this in another one of these matching games ever again. The next Memory Match game was based on Kirby Fighters 2, and things have already taken a turn for the soulless because, wow, this looks incredibly boring. Like, Kirby Fighters 2 has such a beautiful UI. There was so much you could have done with this, but instead you just put Kirby Fighters 2 renders in the most basic corporate-looking match game I've ever seen. And obviously all those silly little descriptions are gone too, but I think that's pretty obvious judging by the no fun allowed sign they decided to put on the title screen this time around. Really, there isn't any change in terms of the actual gameplay content besides the score system being changed for a move counter, which, works well enough. I don't really care either way, because it's still just RNG stuff, but hey, it gives the game some replayability, which is nice for all the Insomniacs watching. Hey, it can't get any worse than this, right? Well, feast your eyes on the Forgotten Land Memory Match. Does this look familiar to anyone? It should, because we just played this exact game, but with the Kirby Fighters 2 skin over it. Okay, look, I'm getting really tired of these matching games. Can we just go look at something else real quick? How about the other series, Jigsaw Jumble? Now, these are just puzzle games, and the first one ever made was based on Kirby Planet Robobot, and what you see is what you get. It's just a really basic, kind of corporate-looking puzzle game. And then they made this one based on Star Allies 2 years later, and it's more or less the same thing. Oh no, I think I'm starting to see a pattern here. So back to the Memory Match games. We got Dream Buffet Memory Match. This is just the Forgotten one again. And Return to Dream 1 Deluxe Memory Match, which is just the Dream Buffet one. And then there's Return to Dream 1 Deluxe Jigsaw Jumbo, which is the same as Forgotten Land Jigsaw Jumbo, which is the same as Kirby Fighters 2 Jigsaw Jumbo, which is the same as Extra Epic Yarn Jigsaw Jumbo, which, fun fact, I left running on my computer for like 30 minutes just waiting for it to load, and it never did, which is arguably a bigger waste of time than actually playing the game itself, so... And I guess that technically also would make it an unplayable creation. This is just absurd. There's 2 entirely different series of Kirby Flash games on this website that are being churned out on a game-by-game basis, and every single one of them within this series are like the exact same thing now. Like, you know, I kinda hate to say it, but with where Flash and web games are in today's internet hierarchy, I highly doubt we're gonna get a Kirby Flash game that isn't like this in the foreseeable future. And you know, I don't think that's entirely bad. Keeping the Kirby Flash game legacy alive is better than just straight up axing it, I suppose, and besides, I'm not even like the target audience for these games. They're like for young children. They're on the Play Nintendo site. I know these games could be so much more. I think looking back at the history of Kirby Flash games really proves that. If the Kirby Flash game scene wants to veer more towards being harmless children's activities on a harmless children's activities site, that's perfectly fine. I still think these games are boring though. We deserve a Waddle Beam too. These Play Nintendo games have basically been the last 10 years of Kirby Flash games, but there has been a single exception, and it's Kirby's Quick Draw. How I love Kirby's Quick Draw. This is the last official Flash game we'll be taking a look at today, and as you can probably tell, this game was hosted on the Rainbow Curse microsite, although the site's been taken down, and it was also on Play Nintendo for some time, but it's also been taken down on there, although thankfully it's been archived. And I was so happy to see that because this is actually like one of the only Kirby Flash games I actually played before making this video. This game is literally connect the dots if it was awesome. You got 10 rounds, you got Kirby characters, you got the awesome Rainbow Curse music blaring in the background, and you gotta do all of it as fast as you can. This timer is the thing that makes this game so great because it gives you that motivation to keep replaying the game over and over again. It just feels so good getting better and better with every single run. And of course the gameplay itself is super fun. It's precise, but you could go really fast if you're good. I mean, you can even share your scores on Facebook. That's so awesome. I am totally using that feature. From a gameplay perspective, Kirby's Quick Draw is probably the best Kirby Flash game you're gonna get. It's fun, addictive, replayable, it just never gets old. It's the perfect little Flash game package. As a matter of fact, it's so good that I want to play more Kirby Flash games, but I just played them all and exhausted them all, and now I have nothing else to play. Well, that's where you come in. Not you specifically. Not unless you made a Kirby Flash game before. Obviously, let's start with a classic. I'm sure we all know that... What is this website? I'm sure you all know this one. It's the original Kirby Flash game. Or at least I hope you're all familiar with it. Now, this game really isn't anything special. It's just like 2 endlessly repeating rooms that you play through, and there's oddities that give you different abilities and stuff. Also, it has this banger remix of the Dream 1-3 intro theme, which just goes crazy hard. Oh my god, I love it so much. But this game is very special to me, because believe it or not, this is actually the second Kirby game I ever played, if we want to count Flash games in that. I still remember the first time I played Kirby's Dream Land, and I just probably got my ass kicked or something, and I just put it down. I ran to the family computer and I just looked up Kirby games and I started playing this. And also the game's charm is just super apparent. Like, look at this. I love the way this game looks. And I mean, how many other games just let you endlessly fly to the left of the screen? This is revolutionary. Staying on this totally not sketchy site that is not trying to sell my private information at all, we have this game here, Kirby Bubble. Okay, you know Bubble Bobble? Well, imagine Bubble Bobble if you were playing as Kirby with this really weird-looking visual style, and you kept falling through the floor randomly for some reason, and the sound design was like the most nauseating shit ever. Like, listen to this. The hell is Kirby Brick War? I see, so it's just block attack from Canvas Cursive. It sucked. Okay, I think I'm done on this site. We're gonna go play another classic Kirby Flash game, but this time it's gonna be on Newgrounds. Kick Kirby. Oh, Kick Kirby. All my homies love Kick Kirby. Really, all you do in Kick Kirby is just click on Kirby and just keep clicking him while he's in the air, and you just try to get a combo of clicks and keep him in the air as long as possible. It's a simple game, but it's kind of fun. This game is just so charming though. Like, look at the art style. It like screams late 2000s internet thing, and I love it. And then there's all the different areas you can swap between. They're all so vibrant and nice looking, and I love some of the little gimmicks thrown in some of them that make them a little difficult. Hey-ho, is that DDD? Up next, another Newgrounds game, Kirby Halberd Escape. Now this one, it's got that Newgrounds charm to it, but this game is like not fun at all, man. What this game is like a reaction-based game where you have to choose the right path based on things like finding which door is darker, or whichever door the laser ball is gonna go inside. But the thing is, you're given like literal milliseconds to react. It's like insane. I never beat this game as a child, But this ending is awesome, though. And you know, while we're here, how about we check out some of those old Kirby Newgrounds dress-up games? I'm not the only one who played those, right? Oh, we got a little message here. You've dressed up Brittany, Jennifer, Jessica, Christina, Anna, Carmen, Natalie, and Mariah. But now it's time to dress up the sexiest of them all. If by sexiest you mean spiffiest in the entire world, then you're damn right, Kirbob is your man. This is literally the coolest Curbsona ever, guys. No one has anything cooler than Kirby's Goodyear-loving vampire brother-in-law from outer space. Alright, how about this one? Oh no, that's definitely a Newgrounds game. Oh, that's definitely a Newgrounds game. Look, the game even gives you a little music selection, and it sure is a shame that like half these songs are gonna get this video blocked worldwide, so all reliable, I guess. Well, this is awkward. This Kirby dress-up game is pretty cool, though, because it gives you such a vast amount of customization options. Like, how many other games allow you to make a dual gun-wielding Kirbraham Lincoln? You know, there was this one Kirby dress-up game I played when I was a kid where one of the things you could put on Kirby was a literal... Oh, no, this is it. Oh, pack it up. That's enough Kirby Flash games for today. Maybe my entire life. Well, those sure were Kirby Flash games. Whether it's the actual official stuff or all the crazy fan-made stuff we just looked at, the world of Kirby Flash games really is a wild one. We've seen a lot today, some of which I wish I had never seen, but ultimately, it was worth it just to dig up these forgotten relics and give them a little bit of time in the spotlight. Now, I know this sounds incredibly silly, especially given how much crap I've flung towards some of these Flash games here today, but the wild world of Kirby Flash games is one that holds a special place in my heart. It's one that helped give me more Kirby content when I was a child with no concept of money. It's one that furthered my fascination into all these little obscurities and mysteries the Kirby series has to offer. It's the one that gave us Waddle Doom! And it's the one that allowed me to make this video in the first place. It was a lot of fun reminiscing on or experiencing some of these Flash games for the first time, and I hope you learned something new today, or at the very least that I kept you entertained for like 30-something minutes. So if you liked this video, leave a like. If you didn't, leave a dislike. And if you want more content like this, then be sure to subscribe. Also, I got a Twitter, the link is in the description. And with all that said, keep calm and keep Waddle Doom gaming. Pekachow out!